Hi everybody, just thought I'd share 13 years ago today. When I was 13 years old, I was Abraham Lincoln for Halloween. So when I was in 7th grade, I was George Washington because my language arts teacher would provide extra credit if we dressed up as a historical figure and give a speech. So I did, and that's when a lot of people realized I know a lot about the presidents, not as much as I did by the time I graduated and it's in intermediate school. But in 8th grade, I decided to continue my presidential tradition because I just always loved the presidents of the United States, and I dressed up as another one of my favorite presidents, Abraham Lincoln. And not to mention, we're both tall and we're both loquacious, which means we love to talk. Lincoln was just a bit taller than I was, so I was very excited, but I did not have a stovepipe hat like Lincoln, and I didn't have a black suit. And so what I usually do is always do things the hard way. My autistic brain always thinks of making things out of paper, making everything out of paper. And I remember the evening before I had guitar lessons, and afterwards I went to Staples to get the black construction paper. And I thought I'd make an entire suit out of paper and a hat out of paper. Well, I made the hat out of construction paper, but I was like, the suit's too hard, so I had to ask Grandpa if he had suits, and he did. He had a black one, and he actually gave it to me, said I could have it because it was too small for him. So I got a suit coat, I had a paper bow tie, I had a paper hat. Well, most of it was out of paper. I think I taped around an actual hat. And I also had a little false beard from art class. Actually, a little correction, I just remembered it was actually a false mustache turned upside down, and the sideburns were out of black construction paper. So I went to bed October 30th, and I was so excited. It was hard to sleep, and of course, and this is what dreams always do to me when I'm very excited, I remember in my dream being by the portable classrooms and seeing a couple of friends, one I still remember who it was, laughing. But anyway, and I didn't have the suit on. I had like the white shirt but not the suit, and everything was just failing and such. I believe it was during lunchtime in the dream too. But I woke up, I'm like, thank God that was a dream, and I got up and I went to school excited. I went to my first class, and one of the teacher's aides said, hey, I think there's a man named John, or John Wilkes Booth, wanting to see you outside and such. So it's like, I know John, and since I know who he was, I don't want to have anything to do with him. So just to play along with the joke anyway. So I remember going around the school all day from morning to afternoon, and a lot of people thought my costume was neat, and in retrospect, how I always critique myself, like seeing the pictures, the beard wasn't big enough, and all day long I had to retape it with tape. So I think everyone knew who I was. There was one person who saw me in the morning, said that's an excellent costume, and then that afternoon we had PE together, and that was probably when he realized that I was Abraham Lincoln. He thought I was a person in a marching band, because the beard looked like a strap and not a beard. Well, anyway, after school I went over to Newport Heights to show all my friends at Newport Heights who still taught there or still worked there, and visited my teachers. I got to meet Willy Wonka, Edward Scissorhands, and a graduate. I mean, those were a couple of the costumes that were there that day. And I also had a picture of Abraham Lincoln that I drew in 2008, April 14th, 2008, just happened to be the anniversary of the date that he was shot in 1865. But I was showing my drawing for like a side-by-side comparison, and that's when in my former grade 6 classroom, my former teacher took a picture of me, and I had my Abraham Lincoln pose. I got it from a famous painting of Abraham Lincoln on a chair. And then that night was the Heroes Faith Fest at my church, and I came as Lincoln. My former children's pastor was Corrie ten Boom, and a lot of other people were heroes from the Bible. But that was my day 13 years ago in 2008. And another reason I decided to make this is because I get to say 13 years ago when I was 13. I don't know, to me, I think that's neat. It could only happen when your age is even and something significant happened half your life ago. So like, I'm 26, so half of that is 13, so 13 years ago I was 13 years old. I don't know, I just love math and chronology and time, and you put that together, that's what astrophysics call the fourth dimension of space-time. In 2009, I decided to play Abraham Lincoln again because I had a better makeshift beard. And unfortunately, I had a very bad cold on October 30th. It was a Friday, so October 31st fell on a Saturday, and therefore people dressed up on Friday, but I didn't go because I had a very bad cold. But the next day, the 31st, was another annual of the Heroes Faith Fest. My grandfather actually dressed up, almost surprised me in a way. Well, kind of, it did surprise me. I believe he was Ahijah the prophet, and one of the pastors was Melchizedek. And so that turned out to be a decent night too, and that was like the last time I ever recall dressing up. I've been dressing up since 1998 when I was 3 years old. I was a blue M&M, and I dressed up every year since. You can watch a slideshow if you want to. I'll leave it in the card above, and it would take you from 1998 to 2008 of just who I was for Halloween, and in the description below I put the years and what costume I put on. I think the most courageous costume that I put on was Alfalfa in 2002. And yes, it took a lot of courage for me to agree to be Alfalfa. It was not my first choice. It was actually my last choice, but I was talked into it and I played Alfalfa. That video is also on YouTube if you're interested in watching. And so to everyone watching, whether it's October 31st or any time of the year, whenever Halloween comes, I hope that you have a safe day, a safe night, overall a safe Halloween.